Minister McKenna, a pleasure to have you on our program this morning.
Great to join you, Heather.
Thank you. Can we talk language, first of all, because as I mentioned to Cameron, the word from you and the Prime Minister yesterday was disappointment. Certainly European leaders have been much stronger in their rebuke and their condemnation. You want to up the language at all from Canada in terms of this country's stance to Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, I think we've been clear. We're deeply disappointed, but if the U.S. is going to move back, we're going to move forward. And we have a huge opportunity for Canada. We understand the economy is moving to a low-carbon future, and we have great innovations here. And so we're going to take advantage of that opportunity. Look, I'm more focused on how the world's going to move forward than spending a lot of time lamenting the U.S. decision.
Okay.
I announced yesterday.
Sorry, I just was wondering, the world reacting, what it's been like. I mean, up to the last moment, there was some doubt, would he or would he not withdraw from the accord? He did, of course, in that famous Rose Garden speech. Since that happened, can you give me any idea of what kinds of conversations or phone calls were going around between you, other ministers, the Canadian government, with other world leaders and ministers, just in terms of response to this?
Well, I mean, interestingly, I was at the Big City Mayor Summit, and the big city mayors were just saying, just so you know, we are totally on board with you in Canada. But we've seen mayors around the world. Michael Bloomberg, I met with him just a few weeks ago. He's really stepping up. He says that he's going to help fund the UN Climate Secretariat. You've seen business leaders across the board in the U.S. come out and say this is bad for the world, but it's bad for the U.S. I've had conversations with my counterparts and will be continuing to have conversations because we're committed to serious climate action. And I announced yesterday that Canada is going to co-host with China and the European Union a summit of ministers in Canada in September to advance the Paris Agreement and focus on clean growth. We have a huge opportunity here for Canada, and so we're going to step up. And, you know, if the U.S. is going to step back, that's their own decision.
Give me some specifics. In addition to hosting this summit, where do you see Canada now assuming even greater role on this, concretely?
Well, so I was in California just last month, and I met with business leaders, top business leaders, and big investment firms. And so my focus is attracting investment to Canada and creating jobs here. That's consistent with what our government overall is doing. And this is the real opportunity. I've seen Canadian companies in the United States doing amazing things to reduce emissions and find solutions. So that's a huge focus. We're going to be working very hard on attracting investment here in Canada and promoting our solutions abroad. I'm in China later this year, where I'm going to bring yet again a trade mission of Canadian companies that have solutions. The Chinese said, bring us your solutions for clean air, clean water, soil remediation, and that's exactly what we're going to do. This is an opportunity, Canada, to save the planet, to work with the rest of the world. I have 3 kids, so I'm very committed to that, but also to create good jobs here in Canada.
Is Canada on track to meeting its own goals under the Paris Agreement?
We are. So we came together with the provinces and territories to develop our climate plan. It's a very thoughtful plan. We're now in the implementation phase, and we're certainly moving forward because we recognize that Canada, to have an international leadership, we also need to be showing leadership at home. And I'm very proud of how provinces have stood with us. Cities have stood with us, Indigenous leaders, Labour. In Canada, everyone gets it that we need to move forward on climate action. It's the right thing to do for our kids and grandkids, and it's a huge economic opportunity.
You mentioned the opportunity and the jobs, the potential there. We've already been doing here at CBC News some reporting out of Alberta, though, and there is some concern that this could drive business out of Alberta. Companies looking to the south now, not having to meet carbon targets and incur carbon pricing. Do you foresee problems in the oil patch as a result?
Look, I actually think this makes us more attractive. We are developing a credible plan that also provides certainty for business. And so you've seen in the United States, businesses like ExxonMobil say, stay in the Paris Agreement. They understand where the world is going. So putting your head in the sand and pretending that we're not moving to a low-carbon future is actually bad for business. Business needs more than anything. They need certainty. They need to be working with government. We work extremely closely with business. I was just in Calgary last week, meeting with businesses to talk about how we could move forward in a smart way on our climate actions, and also make sure we position ourselves to grow the economy. And so, I mean, I think this is about being smart. You can't ignore you can't ignore progress. The world is going in this direction, and we're going in the right direction.
Final question for you, Minister McKenna, if you would. I've been reading some of the analysis, some of the people looking at potential repercussions for the United States of this decision, and some are talking about diplomatic repercussions, that Europe and China, for example, may withhold cooperation with the United States on issues that matter to Donald Trump, issues like trade. Well, Canada has some major trade discussions going on in the future with Donald Trump with the United States. Do you see Canada taking action, retaliatory action in that way as a result of his decision? Could there be any diplomatic responses from Canada based on this?
Well, Canada has many files with the United States. We have a very important trading relationship, and we're not going to agree on everything. So this is an example. Clearly, we have a very different position with the U.S. On our approach to climate change, but we need to also engage with them on other files like trade. So we're going to continue to do that. 9 million jobs in the U.S. rely on trades with Canada. U.S. is our largest trading partner, but we are going to always vigorously defend Canada's interests because that's what Canadians expect us to do.
Minister McKenna, good of you to give us some time this morning, and I would dare say we'll be speaking many times as you take a leading role in this file, perhaps even more so in the future now. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate